Hey there, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening to all of our great leaders out there. This is Kenny with another edition of the Yak with MAC. I am so happy you're able to join us today. And I got to tell you, man, you running a retail store out there today, it is special. You are a great leader. If you've gotten to this point, if you are a retail associate manager, a retail store manager, a district manager, you're already a great leader. So we're just going to continue to feed you some things that we think are going to help you continue to succeed in your journey. So this is where we seek to inspire and encourage you so that you could influence your people even better than you're doing today. So my reminders, as I do every week, right? 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes a day, please, leaders. At least 10 minutes a day, at least 10 minutes a day to do something that is going to help you develop. Read an article. Percipio is just a phenomenal resource. I'm going to share some things today again that I got from Forbes.com. There are so many great places out there that teach you about leadership. And just because you're in retail leadership, it doesn't make it any different. Leadership is leadership, right? So make sure you're doing at least 10 minutes a day. Leader Ready, our phenomenal Leader Ready class. Liz and her great leadership trainers are just, they're waiting for you with open arms. So hopefully you've gotten to that, whether I think most of them are virtual these days. So hopefully you get to that. You will be better when you leave than you were when you walked in. I can guarantee you that 100%. All right. I'm going to make this a weekly segment. Retire the cliche. I did one last week. Let's retire another cliche. My nose is to the grindstone. I don't even know what a grindstone means. What does that actually mean? Your nose is actually on a grindstone. Or just say, hey, I'm working real hard and I'm working on it. All right, so I'm going to reluctantly ask you to retire those sayings, and here's why. Think about this for a second. Do you know any successful leaders that don't work hard? So why continue to state the obvious? And also, when you say, hey, I'm working hard, I'm working at it, most of the time you have really good intentions, but there also can be times where that's kind of a little bit of an excuse to buy some time. So instead of saying, hey, my nose is to the grindstone, I'm working hard, here's what we're doing. Here's what we are doing to straighten that situation out, to correct this behavior. Here exactly is what we're doing. And then talk about your plan. Forget about working hard. We know you're working hard. Again, there's no successful leader on the planet Earth that doesn't work hard. Don't let anybody fool you and say, yeah, that person doesn't work all that hard. Well, they're probably, in fact, I'm going to take probably out of that. They're not that successful. All successful leaders work hard. We know you don't work a 40-hour work week, neither do I. But I also know that I have a plan for everything that I'm working on, and I want you to have a plan as well. All right, retire that cliche. No more nose to the grindstone, or I'm working hard, or I'm working on it. Retire that. Just talk specifically about what you're going to do. All right, let's jump back in. Courageous leadership. I love that expression. Love that expression. We talked about 5 ways. This is in no particular order. One is not better than the other. We talked about 5 ways that you can show courageous leadership every single day. We're going to talk about the other 5 right now. Let's jump right in. And by the way, I want to give credit to Forbes magazine. This was a great article that I found on Forbes magazine that really prompted me, as well as a conversation with one of my guys that definitely prompted me to talk about courageous leadership. And it's funny, as I said last week, we may hear that expression and think we have to do something spectacular and really courageous. We have to save someone, save the world. No, courageous leadership are these little things that you do every day that do take some thought and do take some courage to go ahead and do and implement. So let's talk about the 6th one. Communicate openly, often, and frequently. All right. So we talk about communication all the time, right? And we're a communication company, let's face it. But do we really, really communicate openly, often and frequently. And how do we communicate these days? We have so many means, right? We have Slack, we have email still, you could text people. There's so many different ways to still communicate. Nothing at all takes the place of a phone call or an in-person visit, face-to-face, still talking. Yes, that may sound like an outdated concept, but nothing takes the place of that. So leaders, let me say this. Your people still want straight talk. Don't let anybody tell you differently. While straight talk, and we've talked a little bit about that, I'm going to go more into that in the next coming weeks with emotional intelligence. Folks still want to hear it straight from you as their leader. Folks still want to hear it. I've said this for a long time. I don't think I've said it on these podcasts yet, but to me, 3 of the most powerful words that a leader can ever say are "I don't know." So straight talk, letting folks know that you don't know, that's part of straight talk. You're not going to know everything. There's going to be some things that you just don't know. It's okay to say that, but you can't just leave it there, right? You have to say, I don't know, but guess what? I'm going to find out the answer for you. I'm going to find it out. Don't hoard information. I shared this story a lot with my leaders in the past of my days at McDonald's a long time ago. And in the restaurant industry in general, we used to get a P&L, profit and loss statement, right? We don't really get that in the wireless industry. But that P&L I used to always post up. And I remember every district manager that I had as a store manager used to come in and first time they'd see it up, hey, why are you doing that? They don't really understand it. I'm like, I beg to differ. We've got some really smart people. I got some smart waiters and waitresses. I've got some smart frontline people here at McDonald's. And if they didn't know anything, guess what? They asked me, hey, Kenny, what does this mean? And I would go over the P&L with all of my people at monthly meetings so that everyone knew what I knew. I never wanted to hoard information. I still don't do that. Now listen, there are just going to be some things that you can't tell everybody. We get that. As a leader, that absolutely is going to happen. But most things, especially how your place of business is doing, most things you can go ahead and share that with everyone because everyone should feel like they have a stake in that. You cannot really understand how proud, and I can remember the names and faces of my people back in the day when one month we might not have had such a great month and the next month I put up a P&L where we exceeded what our expectations were on the bottom line. They would come, slap me high five. They'd be like, yeah, we got it. We did it. You want everyone involved. So communicating openly and frequently prevents you from hoarding information. I promise you won't hoard any information whatsoever if you're doing that. Okay, let's get to the next one. Lead change. Do we change? Of course we do. I haven't talked much about change because it's just so obvious these days. If you're not a leader of change, you're absolutely in the wrong business. However, let's talk about it from a little bit of a different point of view. Not only should you lead change, you should spark change. You should never be happy with just the status quo. And I see a lot of leaders over the years that get kind of tied up in just that status quo. They know that things are going well, why change it? Well, if you use a sports analogy, even championship teams always change at least a couple of players, even after they've won the championship, just to change things up a little bit, because they know that that game is going to be a little bit different in 2021 than it was in 2020. It's the same in business. Every month is a little bit different. Make sure that you are the spark, the rainmaker when it comes to changing the status quo. Envision yourself a better way, and then you have to paint that picture very clearly to your folks. But get ideas from others on how your store, your district can run better. Talk to the people that are on the front lines. They will give you a lot more ideas than you could think of, I promise. So leading change, you have to be that example. You have to be that change agent. You have to be the one that says, you know what, I know we're doing well, but we can do better. And you guys give me some reasons. Here's an idea I have. What do you guys think? All right, the 8th one, make decisions and move forward. We talked a few weeks ago about decision making. And so I won't go back into that, except you want to make sure that you have conversations, you do your research. But here's what I see most leaders do. They get analysis paralysis. They overthink it. Don't overthink your decision. Get that information. Go with your gut and your head, not just with your gut. Talk to other people, particularly peers and leaders, other leaders, and your leaders, and then make a decision and move on. Move on. It is so important as a leader that you just move on. You can always reevaluate after 30 days, after 60 days, that decision that you made. But leaders, you can't be afraid to make a decision. Don't get caught up in analysis paralysis. Well, if I do this, this may happen. If I do that, that may happen. We're not working in engineering, right? We're working with people that really, really matter. And sometimes people can be a little bit unpredictable, and that's okay. But you have got to be able to make a decision and go ahead and move forward. Let's go to number 9. Give credit to others. That's courageous leadership. You know why it's courageous leadership? Because leaders, when they give credit to everybody else, they're so afraid sometimes that their leader might say, well, gosh, man, your team has come up with all these ideas. What are you doing? Well, here's the thing. When you give credit to others, just think about what it does to them. Let me put it this way. If you take credit for an idea that someone else came up with, now what? Uh-oh. Now you've lost them sometimes forever. Yeah, that was my idea. And Kenny stood up there and he said it was his. No more ideas coming from me. Or if I have a good idea, I'm not telling him. So give credit to others. Have that courage to do it. You're not going to seem irrelevant because here's the thing. You are the catalyst in that store or in that district. You hired these people and they're working for you. So if some great ideas come from them, that's because of you. It's because of you anyway. All right. Here's the last one. And I used to hate this word. So I was a little hesitant to talk about this one. I didn't want to change what Forbes had because I thought that it was just phenomenal stuff. But hold people and yourself accountable. I hated that word because we overused it in our previous company. Accountability. You got to hold this person accountable. Is this person accountable? And it always seemed to mean the same thing, which was, hey, you got to write this person up. I hated that word back then. I don't so much now because I totally understand what it means. So I'll read exactly what Forbes said. Expect people and yourself to deliver on commitments. What's wrong with that? That's what we as leaders should be doing, right? And hold yourself responsible for modeling behavior. If you want people to get to here, make sure you're modeling that way for them to get to there. And so accountability, again, it doesn't mean, hey, I'm going to write this person up. You're going on a final warning. No. Sometimes it might get to that. What it means is that everyone is honoring their commitments. Hey, so what did you commit to? Okay, fantastic. Let's go ahead and work on that. And you didn't get there this month. It's not fantastic, but let's continue to work on ways for you to get there. All right, we are going to get ready to wrap up. Let me go ahead and wrap up these last 5. Communicate openly, often, and frequently. Lead change. Make decisions, move forward, give credit to others. I love that one. That's probably my favorite out of the 10. And then hold people and yourself accountable. All right, lots more to come next week. I promise. I've been promising this for a while. We will jump into emotional intelligence, the big buzzwords these days. But I'm going to break it down because emotional intelligence to me makes a lot of sense if we keep it really simple. So I'll break it down. It'll probably be a 2 or 3 part series on that, and we'll jump into all that. All right, 10 minutes a day. Just that last reminder. For now, this is Kenny with the Yak with MAC. We will talk to you real soon.